Welcome to the Darin Sargent Show. Another episode number 20. Thanks for joining. Today we are going to be talking about monkey bars aren't my specialty. Some of you will get that. Some of you may have to listen in a little bit longer. But today we're talking about monkey bars are not my specialty. Thanks for joining in right here on the Darin Sargent Show, where you get life advice from a single-handed perspective. I was born in Eastern Oregon in a little town called Pendleton. And when I was 1 year of age, we moved to the area of Salinas, California, where my mom grew up. This is near Monterey and Carmel. And until I was 9 years old, we lived there before moving to southern Idaho. But during that time, when I turned 4 years old, I entered into pre-K and at a community center at a park there in Salinas called Closter Park. My teacher's name was Mrs. Culper, and she was something. She was my biggest fan and saw some of the challenges that I faced having only one hand and helped me out. It's amazing how you can remember certain people in your life that make an impact. She made an impact in my life at a young, early age. One time we were getting ready for a Thanksgiving, some sort of Thanksgiving program or play or something like that, and we were making these macaroni bead necklaces, and one of the kids, my mom told me the story because Mrs. Culper told my parents about it, but I don't remember it. But this kid comes up to Mrs. Culper and he's crying that he can't make these beads and thread these macaroni pieces into a necklace. And she looked at him and said, "Well, go watch Darin. Darin's got it down." And she looked over, and there I was with macaroni beads on my stub, and I'm just threading them and like it's nobody's business. And I appreciate her support, her encouragement. And I think a lot of those early years of formation in my life, the attitude that I now possess was because of people like her, people like my parents, people like certain teachers that I had in my life. But one thing that Mrs. Culper couldn't help me with was the monkey bars. I'm not very good at monkey bars. I can only make it to the first rung. I'm not at 4 years old. All my buddies were playing on the playground, and they were swinging from one monkey bar to another, and here I am trying to swing and jump to the next one. And at 4, you don't get that far. I'm not going to probably be a trapeze artist in my life, so that's not something I really needed to focus on. Which brings me to my point today. So often, I think we try to do everything that we can when we were not created to do everything that we can. I learned a long time ago I had to learn to focus on my strengths and delegate my weaknesses. What I mean by that is I think so much frustration, so much energy is wasted by many of us trying to prop up our weaknesses, things that we're not gifted and talented in order to look like we have it all together. It's okay not to be good at everything. I just released somebody right there. Someone just got a fresh revelation. You were just released. Learn to focus on your strengths and not your weaknesses. In the 6th grade, I had a teacher by the name of Mr. Altimos. We called him Mr. A, and Mr. A was on the side a karate instructor, and I guess he felt bad for a one-armed guy and thought I needed to learn karate in order to protect myself, because I'm sure he saw some of the bullying that happened to me, and so he would take me out of classroom into the hallway, and he would teach me how to do these certain punches and all that. But here's the deal. That wasn't my strength. I'm not a violent person. I can't even stab my own Capri Sun. I'm sorry. It's toward the weekend. I'm in one of those moods. So I learned quickly that's not my strength. Why should I try to do something that I wasn't created to do. I'm not going to shuffle a deck of cards. I'm not going to get a job in a Vegas casino. I mean, if it's 52 card pickup, I'd be happy to join in. But I'm not going to be a professional card dealer. I know there's people out there that can shuffle and cut decks of cards with one hand. They have the dexterity to do it, but I don't have time for that. So much of our frustration sometimes is because we think we've got to be good at everything. We got to be a jack of all trades. But what is the rest of that statement? A jack of all trades, but a master of none. You need to focus on what you're good at and delegate those things that you're not good at. Let someone that's their wheelhouse. Let them take care of it. I'll never forget, between my freshman and sophomore year of college, I was home for the summer and I landed a job. You're going to laugh. I landed a job at a construction company. My dad was working there. My brother was working there. And I guess the owner of the company felt bad for me, or he wanted to fill his American Disabilities Act quota or whatever, but he hired me. And I started out doing siding. I drove by those houses a few years back, and I was surprised they were still standing. I went from siding to putting up rafters with one hand, and both of those I didn't do too well at. Finally, the owner, who was so kind, his name was Ken Mabry. He's passed away a few years ago. Shout out to Jeff and Brenda Mowry if you're watching this. Ken was an incredible man. Finally, he put me on the forklift. That I could do. And I became the crew's forklift driver. With one hand, I had it down. I could spin that wheel like nobody's business. But I'll never forget one day, I was frustrated. There was something I was trying to do and I couldn't do. And I remember my father pulling me into one of the homes that we were working on. We were standing in the middle of this unfinished home. And he said, Darin, this is not who you are. This is not what you're going to be doing with your life. Don't get frustrated at something you were not created to do. I'll never forget that day. I wanted to frame. Have you ever seen me try to hammer something into the wall? A friend of mine gave me a hammer not too long ago that has this self-feeding. It's a one-handed hammer, and I've probably used it once or twice, but it's not my gifting. It's not what I'm talented in. So why should I spend my life frustrated, wasting energy trying to prop up a weakness that I wasn't created to do in the first place? I think you need to have a wide variety of things that you can do. I'm not saying just, my gifting is couch potato. No, it's not. I'm talking about advancing. I'm talking about moving forward. I'm talking about becoming what you were created to become. But you've got to learn. God gave you specific talents and abilities. Why should you worry about trying to do something maybe you weren't created to do, you don't have the passion to do? Don't let other people talk you into doing something that you were not created to do, that's not in your wheelhouse. Some of us, I think, feel stuck at times in our life because we're involved in something, we're doing something that we were not created to do. Focus on your strengths. Delegate your weaknesses. Pass them off to somebody else so that you can learn to fly and be the person that God created you to be. I'm not going to probably advance to the sign language championship of the world. I'm just not going to do it. You're going to get half the message. I've said it before. Why is that guy stuttering? I'm not going to be a weightlift champion. I'm not going to join the Olympic swim team. I swim in circles, folks. I could go on and on and on. But today, on this episode, learn to focus on your strengths and delegate your weaknesses. Thank you for joining in on the Darin Sargent Show. You can learn more by going to darinsargent.com. Next week, I'm going to be announcing something that I'm very excited about that I think will be a big help to a lot of people. So stay tuned right here on the Darin Sargent Show. Thanks for tuning in. Have an awesome day. And remember, you have what it takes to be an overcomer.